All right, everyone, welcome to this video where we're going to be covering OT instructions and what you can do to make your absence a little bit easier on your class and your occasional teacher that's in for you. So the first thing I'll suggest doing is if you go into content, what you'll want to do is create a unit for your supply teacher folder. You can do that by going into content and select new unit, and we'll call this supply instructions folder, something like that, whatever you want to call it. But I would basically just create this folder to make sure that you have instructions inside here so that if an OT comes into your course, they can see exactly what they're expected to do for that day. Okay. Now, first thing I want to talk about, though, is the security behind this and the privacy piece. Right now, you can see this folder has been created as a hidden folder. So it's hidden from students, but that means that anyone else who comes into the course can see it. So your administrator can see this, the teacher can see it, and occasional teacher can see it. That's not bad. That's what we kind of want to happen. But the problem is that if any of those people come up here and they just click on visible, this whole folder is now visible to all of the students as well. And that's not what we want. So this is a very easy error to make, and we want to kind of safeguard against that. So where this is one kind of layer of security, it's not an effective one. So what we would like to do is add a different release condition to this. In order to do that, click on the folder itself, and then scroll over to the three dots over here, the options, and select that. And then we'll go view release conditions. Now here what we're going to do is create a release condition that is based on the role of whoever's in the class list. So under condition type, we can scroll down to class list, and we'll select role in current org unit. Now, a couple ways you can do this. You can select not enrolled as or enrolled as. So if you want to go enrolled as, you can select individual roles that you want to be able to see this. So for example, if you are a teacher, you can be enrolled as a teacher, create that release condition, and then any teacher who's in your course will be able to see that. If I create another one for the class list again, and we'll go enrolled as teacher OT, create that. Then again, teachers and occasional teachers can see that when they've been added into your course. The third one I would suggest doing would be your the role in current org unit of the administrator. So that would be your principal and vice principal, so that if they needed to get into that folder to see what your supply teacher needed for the day, then they could be in there as a support. Now you could do those three, or another one could be you create a fourth one. That is the role in the current org. And instead of being enrolled as something, you have to not be enrolled as a student. So if we go inside here, not be enrolled as a student, or if you're an elementary teacher, LM student, that you'd want to do that one. But this would basically say that they will not be able to see this if they're enrolled as a student here. Okay, so these ones are saying you must be enrolled as either a teacher, OT, or admin. This one says you are not enrolled as a student, which these are the only four options that you should have. So anyways, you can kind of do all four of those if you'd like, or you can kind of just have the top three, or you should actually just be able to do the bottom one. You just need to make sure that it's not enrolled as a student, or that these three are the ones that you have. So if I click save there, you'll notice my folder is still hidden, but if I go to make it visible, notice it says visible if conditions are met. Then you can click on the conditions to see who can actually see it. So that's another added layer of security that's there. And again, occasional teachers are being encouraged to never touch these settings. They just are being encouraged to go to the supply folder and see what's in the supply folder. So from this point, now you'd be looking at how do I actually share something with the OT. So there's a couple things you can do. If you have a document that you've created already, like a Word document or a PDF, you can just go add existing and upload from your computer or from your OneDrive, whatever you're looking at doing there. So I'll demonstrate that. If I don't really have a good document to load in, but I'll just load this one in for just the demo sake. So we can load in a file inside here, and notice the files go in as hidden by default. And then you could the teacher could come inside here and open up this file. I think this is actually a large file, so it might take a few seconds for it to load up. But you can load in your own file here, and that would be useful if you already have a file created. Or what you could do is, instead of going and creating a new file, what you could do is create a new HTML document. And then if you create a new HTML document, you have to give it a title. So let's assume that I'm taking tomorrow as a sick day. So October 9th, supply instructions. And inside here, this is basically like a Word doc where you can edit it, you can type in whatever. So you might say, okay, well, my period 1 class, this is what we have to do. Period 2 class, this is what we have to do. And you can post links inside here as well. But whenever you're ready, you click save, and now that file just kind of shows up in here like this. Doesn't have to load up like a PDF or a Word document has to. This one is just visible as a text document inside here. Okay. Now, one thing I would suggest doing is also providing detailed instructions inside here, like the teacher will be required for creating a Teams meeting or a virtual classroom session, and they'll have to launch it at this time. But what I would also suggest would be useful for an occasional teacher and for your students is if you made that post already inside of the announcements somewhere. So if you were to go, say, to your course home, and if you're using announcements, you can select create new or create an announcement. And you'll have to give it a title. So October 9th, absence. And you can type in here, on Friday, I will be absent. Please enter the virtual classroom meeting at 9 a.m. here. And then now what we'll do is we'll actually post a link to that, and we can do that directly from the announcements by clicking on the insert a quick link. And we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see virtual classroom. Select virtual classroom. And what'll happen is we may have to click next up here first. You may have to resize this a little bit just so you can see it, but I've already done that in this course. So we can select schedule meeting, and I'll make sure that it's October 9th meeting, 9 a.m. And I'm going to select the date. So say 10, yep, 9th at 9 a.m. Good for an hour, and we'll save that. Now you can see that meeting's been created, and I can just click on the meeting and it will insert that directly into my announcement. This would make it much easier for your students to be able to find the meeting link, as well for your occasional teacher to find the meeting link. So there's a lot of difficulty with knowing where the teachers have posted the instructions for their supply when they come in, and this would be a way of dispelling all of that confusion. So the OT can come in, they can click on that link, brings them right into this space here where it will they can launch the meeting when they need to. Okay, so the next thing that we can do, depending on if you're using Teams instead of virtual classroom, you can do the exact same thing. And this is where I would suggest not using the Teams classes that were set up by IT, but you can actually insert the quick link directly to Microsoft Teams meeting. So you do that same thing, insert the quick link, search MS Teams meeting, and then now you can go through the scheduler right here. So you'll have to sign in to Office 365 first, which should just bring you here. Okay, create a meeting link, give it October 9th, meeting 9 a.m. And then again, now you can just kind of go through the scheduler, check which time you actually want to load the meeting for. Okay, I'm not going to make it for 4 hours, so I'll make it for that long, and I'll select create. Okay, so same type of thing should happen. It says, yep, there's my meeting, and now I can insert that meeting, and it will put it in directly just like that. So now if I update, you can see the message inside the announcements is including that. First of all, this would be the virtual classroom one. This would be the Microsoft Teams meeting. And this is accessible to only people inside of your class list. So the OT can actually access this and launch it. So if we click on that meeting, it will bring us right into, basically it tells us to, go to the app or continue in the browser or whatever, but it will open up that Microsoft Teams meeting. Okay, so that's where I would suggest doing that from. And basically, the whole purpose of this is to set the occasional teacher up for success with the students in your course. Brightspace is the only platform where we can manually load in the OTs into your course. So that's why we would ask that you use this as a launch point for your virtual teaching, and anything that you can put into this supply folder that can support the OT as they come into your classroom. So that could be, class lists, seating plans. I know when you say seating plan, I mean like a virtual seating plan, just so that if there's absentee issues or anything like that. But just be aware that this folder here, you want to be making sure that this is secure. So if you can add those conditions to it, that would be giving that extra added of security to it. Okay, so if you do have any questions, please speak to your administrator. But this hopefully will be done for you for Quadmester 2. So we'll be creating a supply teacher folder that has these restrictions already done for you. But for Quadmester 1, currently, we're not able to load them into active classes. All right. So again, if you have any questions, please contact your administrator.